friends, I'm Yakuta Karkhanawala. Today we are going to see switch statement. It is also one type of conditional statements available in C. Switch, you can say, an alternative of ladder if statement. Whatever type of program we can do with ladder if, the same type of programs we can do it with switch statement also. If we are testing on a single variable, then switch is a better choice. But if we are going to check conditions on multiple different variables, then always go for ladder if statement. Also, the most important advantage of switch statement is that it is cleaner and easy to understand. The format of writing switch is very clean, and by which you will understand the flow of the program very easily. But what is the limitation of switch statement is? But there is one limitation of switch statement, that is switch is only used in two types of data type, that is either integer or character. You cannot use a switch statement for floating point numbers. Only if you have integer or a character data type variable, you can go for switch statement. Now, let's understand the flowchart of switch statement, how the switch execution takes place. So, in switch, first we are going to write down some expression. It can be a condition or a simple mathematical expression, or it can be a variable. But the variable or the output of the expression should be either integer or character. It cannot be a floating point value, because switch works on only integer and character data type. Then afterwards, whatever is the value, accordingly it will check for different cases. We have different cases here. So first is case value 1. If the output of the conditional expression is equal to value 1, if it is true, then the statement 1 is executed. But if the output of the conditional expression, or it can be a simple variable, is not equal to value 1, then we'll come and check for the next case. If the value of the variable or an expression is equal to value 2, then the statement 2 is executed, or else it will come to the next case, that is case value 3. Again the same thing, that is if the expression or the variable value is equal to value 3, then statement 3 is executed, and so on. So we can have multiple cases as per the requirement of our program. But at one point of time, it would happen that the conditional expression value is neither value 1, neither value 2, nor it is value 3. So in that case, your compiler will go to the default part of the switch statement. At default part, your statement 4 will be executed. So you check for an expression or a variable and compare it with value 1 or compare it with value 2 and value 3. If either of this particular matches, then your respective statement 1, 2 or 3 is executed. But if your expression value does not match with either value 1, value 2 or value 3, then it goes to the default part and execute the statement 4. After execution of each statement, statement 1, 2, 3, 4, we come to the end part of the switch statement. So now let's understand how to write down switch statement in a C program. So we'll understand the syntax of switch statement. So the first is switch, all in small letters, and in bracket you can have either a variable name, but the variable should be an integer or a character data type, or it can be a mathematical expression. The mathematical expression output should be compulsory integer. It should never be floating point value, or you can have a condition. The condition output is always true or false. True means 1, false means 0. So you can go for any of this thing in the bracket part. Do not put semicolon after switch statement. Then start the block of the switch statement using braces. Next is now case. Case is the keyword in switch statement. If the variable value is equal to constant value 1, then the block 1 is executed, and I mentioned here break. Break is again a keyword in switch statement. Break means it will come out of the switch state. The constant value 1 should be compulsory, either integer or character. If the value of the variable does not match with constant value 1, then we'll come to the next case statement, in which we are putting a new value, that is value 2. So if the variable or an expression or the condition matches constant value 2, then block 2 is executed, and after block 2 I mentioned break. Break means, as I said, it will come out of the switch statement. So you can have number of different cases, and at the end we'll have default. After every cases you should compulsory have colon. So if any of the case values is not satisfied, then we'll come to the default part. Default colon. Don't put any values after default keyword. And this particular block, whatever statements we'll write here will be executed. That is default block. Writing break of default block is not compulsory. If you write, then also there is no issue, but it is not required because default is the last statement of your switch statement. So after default, automatically a compiler is going to come out of the switch statement and your switch statement using ending braces. As you can see, this is a complete switch block where we have number of different cases. At each case we can have number of different statements. We end each case values using break. Break is not a compulsory. If you want, you can have break, otherwise you can skip. If suppose we are skipping this particular break keyword, then your compiler will automatically go to the next case value and execute the statements here. Soon we'll understand this with a simple example. So this was about syntax of switch state. Next is switch state key points. There are some important points that you need to remember while writing a switch statement. First one is you cannot have duplicate case values. Suppose you have two case statements in which your value you are writing is 1 and you have another case statement, but again you cannot have the value 1 here also. So since it is duplicate value, so that should be avoided in switch statement, otherwise you will get a compiler error. Next is default should always be written at the end of the switch statement. You cannot write default at the beginning or in the middle. Default should always be written at the end of the switch statement. Again, default is an optional part. If you want, you can skip default statement. Next is break statement. Break statement is an optional statement. If you will omit a break statement, then the compiler will immediately go to the next case and execute all the statements inside that cases. So if break is avoided, then multiple cases statements are executed irrespective whether the value is been satisfied or not. So today we are going to see two different types of programs of switch statement. One is menu driven calculator, means will display a menu. What would be a menu is, if a user enters a number 1, then we'll perform addition between of two numbers. If a user entered 2, then do the subtraction of the two number. If a user enters 3, then we'll do multiplication, and if 4, then division. If a user enters any other number other than 1, 2, 3, 4, then we'll display an error message. That is a menu driven calculator, where we are doing calculations like addition, subtraction, multiplication and division using switch statement. Then we'll be seeing one more program in which we'll enter a character. If our character is A, E, I, O, U, then we'll display a message that it's a vowel. But if we enter any other characters, then we'll display a message that it's a consonant. So today we are going to see these two programs of switch statement, a very important program with respect to examination as well. So using Dev C++ editor, we are going to create a new C program where the first program would be a menu driven calculator. So make a new file, new source file. We are going to prepare a menu driven calculator. So the first step would be hash include stdio all in small letters, then void main, the block of main, that is starting and ending braces. Now for calculator, what we are going to do is we will require two variables whose addition, subtraction or multiplications we are going to do. Okay, say in this case I'm taking a data type float, because since we are going to perform division operation, so we may get the output in decimal point. So I'm using float data type. So I have two variables A, B, where I'm going to on which I'm going to perform different arithmetic operation, and the result I'm going to store it in C variable. Next is I'm taking a variable integer n. N means it would be my choice. If the value of n would be 1, then I'll do the addition. If the value of n is 2, then I'll do subtraction and so on. So now first is entering the values in A and B. So what I'll do is I'll write down a very simple print statement. Enter value of A and B slash n. End it with semicolon. Scanf percentage B percentage D comma ampersand A comma ampersand B. We have got not percentage D, this time we'll have percentage F because our data type is float. We'll have two values. So we'll have two values in A and B. Both the values would be of float data type. Now, next is I'll display the menu. How you're going to display the menu is simply using printf statement. So for when I enter one means what should happen is I'll do the addition of two numbers. So this is my menu percentage and slash n. Similarly, what you can do is copy this line, paste it. My second is if I'll enter 2, then what should happen is I'll do subtraction. If I enter 2, then I'll do subtraction. Similarly, again copy paste. If I'll enter 3, then I have to do multiplication. And if I'll enter 4, then I'll do division. So this is a simple message that would be displayed onto the screen. It's a simple printf statement. So I'll get this menu first displayed onto the screen. Then now I'll get some value inside n. So enter choice. For entering the value in n is an integer data type. So percentage d ampersand n with semi. So you can see right now I've not used switch at all right now. I'm simply entering the values of A and B. Then I've displayed a menu and now I'm entering the value of n. N is an integer, so percentage D. A and B are float, so percentage F. Now we are going to start with the switch statement. Okay. How you are going to write down switch? Switch all in small letters. Inside this I'm going to enter the variable n and the block of switch statement, the starting and ending braces. Now we'll have different cases. Suppose if the value of n is 1, so I'll write down case 1. What I need to do is I need to do addition on two numbers and the result I'll store it in C. So C is equal to A plus B. If you want, display the value of C. Addition result is percentage F because it's a float data type and the result is in C. Okay. And then break because I want to come out of this particular case statement after doing addition of two numbers. So you can see if the value of n is equal to 1, so what I need to perform is addition. So I'll perform addition of two numbers and I'll display the result of the addition which is stored in variable C. Similarly, you can go on doing for the rest of the other cases. So what I'll do is simply copy, paste it. Now, instead of 1, if the value of n is equal to 2, then I want to do subtraction. So I'll write down C is equal to A minus B and my message would be subtraction result is percentage F and the result would be in C only. And then break means to come out of the switch statement. Go on doing for the rest of the cases. So I'm simply copy pasting case 3. So if the value of n is equal to 3 means I want to do multiplications of two number. So multiplication and instead of plus I'll have star. Similarly, if the case value is 4, then I'll divide. So use division operator and here in message you write down division. Okay. So this is a complete switch statement where n value is 1, then this part is executed. If the value of n is 2, then it will go to the case 2 and this part is executed, and so on for 3 and 4. Now the last, after all cases, we can have default. Default is an optional part. So if the value of n is neither 1, 2, 3 or 4, then what we'll do is we'll simply display a message. Wrong number entered. So if the value of n does not match with any of the cases, then default would be displayed. So in default, whatever message we have written would be displayed onto the screen. So this is complete switch statement. See, you can see the readability of switch is quite better, and it only works, remember this, that it only works for integer or character data types. N is an integer, so you can have a variable here which should be an integer data type. Now, next is we'll save the program. So save switch LC and save as C source file. Save it. Exit now. We'll compile our program. So there are no errors, no warnings. We'll run the program. So now you can see here the message is enter the value of A and B. So we'll enter two values. Say I'm entering 5 and I'm entering 3. So 5 is stored in A, 3 is stored in B. Enter. Now my menu is displayed. That is, if you want to perform addition, then you can enter 1, 2 for subtraction, 3 for multiplication, and 4 for division. Then I have enter choice. That is, I am going to enter the value of n now. So if I want to do addition, I'll enter 1. So my output would be 5 plus 3, that is 8 is displayed onto the screen. If you want, you can try out for different values of choices. So again, I'll run my program, enter the new values. This time I'm entering 5 and 3. But if I want to do multiplication, then I'll enter the choice as 3. And I'll get the result. It is 5 into 3, which is 15 is my result. So you can try out for different values of choice or n and accordingly get the respective output. We have seen a first program of switch, that is menu driven calculator. Now we'll see the new one, that is again create a new file. Now we are going to write down program to check whether a character is vowel or consonant using switch. Okay, so we are going to write down a new program character. Sorry. We are going to write down a new program where we'll enter a character and we'll check whether it's a vowel or a consonant. It's a very interesting and something unique program. So first is again hash include stdio.h, our void main, right? Sure. Now here we are going to enter a character. So the data type that we are going to use is character, and character, say the variable is x. We'll enter some value inside x. So enter a character, a message, scanf percentage C, because it's of a character data type, ampersand x variable, and it with semicolon. So we have the variable x and we have inputted, we can input some values into x using scanf function. Now we are going to use switch. In switch, we'll check whether the character is vowel or a consonant. So for how you are going to do is switch, and inside the bracket we put the variable x, the block of switch statement. Now we'll have different cases. Now for cases, very important thing to remember is which are the vowels character we have is A, E, I, O, U. So what I'll do is I'll write the first one, that is case A. So in single quotes, we are going to write down the character value. For whenever you are dealing with the values of a character, always use single quotes and write colon after the text. I'm not going to write down any message here, but I'll check for different values here. So case A, E. If the value of x is A, then I'm not written any statements and I'm not mentioned break also. So since it's not break, it will go to the next statement. So case E, Similarly, you can write down case for all vowels A, E, I, and copy O and U. So these are the different vowels we have. A, E, I, O, U. All the values are in single quotes, mentioned in single quotes. If the value of X satisfied any of these cases, then what we'll do is we'll print a message. Printf, it's a vowel, right? And it with semicolon. And now I'll mention break. If the value of X is neither A, E, I or U, then what we'll do is we'll go to the default part and we'll display a message. It's a consonant slash n. Also, one more changes we can have in this particular program is this is all X values of X, A, E, I, O are in small letters. If you want, you can add few more cases. I'm copy pasting it, but this time all the characters I'm making it capital. So if you enter a capital value character, then also you'll get the output. So whether the value of X is in small letters A, E, I, O, U or in capital letters A, E, I, O, U, then my output would be a vowel. But if the value of X is neither any of these cases, then it will come to the default part and it will print out it's a consonant. No need to write down break in the default block, right? So if the value of X, say for example, if the value of X is O, then I've not mentioned any statements. Automatically it will go to the next statement and so on. And it will come to this part and display its a verb. It's a very simple program and a tricky one also. So enter a character, enter the value of X, and depending on the X value, you display the message here. Next is we'll save the file. So file, my file name is vowel, C source file, save it, execute, compile the program. There are no errors, no warnings here. Run the program. So I have the message, enter a character. Now I'll enter a vowel. Say the vowel I've entered is O. So my message should be it's a vowel. But if I run the program again with new value of the character, this time I'm entering M. Now M is not a vowel, right? So my message should be it's a consonant. Again, if I run the program and this time say I'm entering capital A, then also my message should be it's a vowel because I've placed a case for capital A also here. Okay, so this is the way you can try out whether your program works for different values of X or not. So that's all for now. So today we have seen how to write down switch statement, what is the syntax of switch statement, and we have seen two programs of switch. One was a menu driven calculator and another was to check whether a character is vowel or consonant. So that's all for today. Thank you. Goodbye.